All right, everybody. Welcome to the Hoops Rehab Show on a Thursday night. How you doing, Eric?
Doing pretty good, man. By yourself?
Yeah, man. It's good. We had a tough game yesterday, but, it's good to have some early competition this early in the season.
Yeah, man. We were too distraught to come on after last night's win. It was pretty much done the first 5-6 minutes of the game. You had that feeling, but
Oh, yeah.
We'll see. Live to see another day.
Yeah, well, we got a lot to talk about. We got to get into the Lakers. Yep. We got to get into this OKC team. If there's any threats out there to get to this OKC team, and then we have a lot of injuries to cover in the league tonight. So, as always, everybody, I am the Game Injury Doc, aka Dr. Evan Jeffries. On my left is Eric B. Mack. We are the hosts of the Hoops Rehab Show. You can find us on our YouTube page. So if you are on it right now, please hit that subscribe button. Always hop in the comment section. We want to show that we want people to always comment. We'll kind of talk about it during the show. So let us know your thoughts and feelings on everything. We also have our Instagram page at the Hoops Rehab Show. And after this live show, we'll be uploading the pod. So wherever you get your podcasts, please download the Hoops Rehab Show. Please rate and comment on the pod and download. Put those auto downloads on so you don't miss a beat there. All right, Eric, you ready to get this cracking?
Let's do it.
So, last night was a good old-fashioned butt whooping, right? Shellacking, whatever you want to call it. They got their asses kicked.
Yeah.
Now, going into the game, you felt, the Lakers are 8-3, going into the season, playing really well with Luka and Austin Reeves, and obviously no LeBron. So you thought, hey, this should be a measuring stick. Let's see where we're at. And we saw where the F we are at.
Oh, yeah.
Rick, what were your thoughts on that game there?
Yeah, lost by 29, and it wasn't even that close, right? It was like got off, I think they were down 30-18 or so after the first. So like I said, in the beginning, it was pretty evident early on that just OKC was just taking it to them. And so, if we're feeling really good about the Lakers, still have to feel decent about their start. But if we're feeling really, really good, 8-3, coming to OKC, we've had some success in the regular season against them as of late, the last, couple seasons. And, came in maybe pounding our chests, and as quick as this game started, it was pretty much over. Hey, Lakers are missing a piece, but the Thunder are missing a couple pieces as well. And it just shows their depth. Their just defensive intensity is not let up from last year and from them winning a championship. That has actually turned up a notch. And I think it was just a bit of a reality check, to be honest, for the Lakers. I guess against San Antonio was a pretty good win, marquee win. But other than that, against Minnesota, there's been a couple good home victories. But yeah, it was just definitely a smack to the face, to say the least.
Yeah, and it just makes you realize how dangerous, how good OKC is. Obviously not playing with Jalen Williams just yet, and they're still dominating the league. They literally can just start anybody off their bench, and they're young, athletic, and they play really great defense. It's like interchangeable pieces, along with just having Shea and Chet, then eventually getting Jalen Williams back. But man, I wanted to kind of get into some comments that JJ Redick made pregame, right? So pregame, when he was asked about OKC's defense, he said, when you create any sort of advantage, you've got to be very Jesus, can't even talk right now. Divisive, right? You got to shoot, pass, or drive. You can't hold the ball because it's hard to create an advantage against them on a possession.
Oof.
So,
out of respect there.
Means you have to move the ball against this team. That's the only way they can kind of beat this team. And I don't know if you remember the game last year when it was towards the end of the season when Lakers hit a bunch of threes. They kind of beat OKC, got a lot of confidence right there. And the whole game, they were just moving the ball, shooting threes from the corner, getting open spots just like that. When you got players like Luka and Austin Reeves, whose game dictates them to have the ball in their hands a lot and kind of dribble around and kind of wait for screens and have the ball constantly be in their hands versus kind of moving the ball around on the court, I think that plays into what OKC wants you to do. And they attack the point, they attack the ball handler, they send doubles, they're just aggressive on defense. So what are your thoughts on kind of those comments and what the Lakers can do moving forward?
Yeah, it just shows like some of that like type of style of play may work on some teams, but when you're facing an Oklahoma City team that we could probably literally say like they just do not take any possessions off. And we've talked about it last year in the playoffs and towards the end of the year that we're just like at awe at like the pressure they apply, whether if it's like a 3/4 kind of press or full court press or just being a pest out there. Obviously, we know guys like Alex Caruso, Lou Dort too, by the way, in this game, right? And so maybe their top two defenders are him and Caruso. So it's like I'm just thinking the Thunder, obviously playoffs is a whole different setting, right? You're playing game after game against each other. So the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals and the 7-game series against Denver in it was the second round, right? And then the 7-game series against Indiana. So there was obviously some things that those teams did to be successful. And I would imagine that's kind of moving that ball around. And if Lakers, which obviously they will face them again this season, but if they're in some kind of series against them, they're definitely going to have to adjust and play a probably different style than they will against maybe other teams.
Yeah, it just their ability to attack on defense is just got to be top in the league, and they're just young and athletic. And the Lakers' strategy is they're gonna have to move the ball around. They have to be complete in control of a game. I think it helps. Obviously, getting a player like LeBron back who will be able to move the ball around. So just having like those three guys out there to make decisions will definitely be a definitely step in the right direction. I know we were talking about, is LeBron coming back and to ruin this chemistry? Obviously, they're going to need LeBron in order to do anything this year, do anything in the playoffs. This team is still built with LeBron in mind. If that wasn't the case, they would have got rid of him, traded him, or something like that, and kind of moved in a different direction. So they're definitely going to need LeBron this season, and I think that will at least get him in a position to be able to challenge teams like OKC.
Yeah, because one thing LeBron adds is obviously just he's like a basketball genius too, right? And so I know there could be some limitations in terms of him being his 23rd season or it being his 23rd season, things of that nature. But like that IQ that he adds, right, I think plays a difference. Just to kind of reiterate the comment we were making earlier about moving the ball around. Look, like, I don't know who would have beat them last night. If you think they played the Warriors the night before, the Warriors talk about moving the ball around. They're probably the best at it, if not one of the best. Yeah. And they were down 37 points at one time. So Oklahoma City Thunder are just levels above everybody right now. But I do see what JJ Redick was talking about. If you're going to just hold on to the ball, you're really going to just like basically kind of suck that OKC defense in, and if you fall for that trap, good night.
Yeah, just think about that. They beat the Warriors and the Lakers back-to-back nights and just whooped the shit out of both those teams. Like it wasn't even it's like an afterthought, right? It's like you got into both those fourth quarters and it wasn't even a competition. They didn't even have to play fourth quarters like the Stars there. So SGA didn't really have to play any fourth quarter. So they're heads above everybody else right now in the West, except for maybe one team we're going to talk about pretty soon. I do want to get to some players individually on the Lakers.
Right.
And one player that I feel is always going to come up this season is DeAndre Ayton.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just because this is what DeAndre Ayton does. He'll have 2 games, a game or 2 where you're like, oh man, 25-10, 25-12. And then he'll have a game where he had, what did he have last night? 6 points, 5 rebounds, no blocks, 4 fouls, right? Just non-existent. Didn't deter anybody from the paint. They shot a super high percentage inside the paint against the Lakers last night. And my concern moving forward is, how are you going to get rim protection on this team?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just DeAndre Ayton's just the epitome of when things are going well, right? He has a kind of pep in his step, and it shows in his production. And we talked about how we kind of figure, which this is probably what's going to be going to do him in terms of contracts, after this year, is like those clunkers maybe every 4 or 5 games where you're like, huh? Granted, I'm not going to say it's all him, because I think there was a bunch of players that didn't play well last night.
Sure.
Obviously, credit to OKC. But it's like you just wish, like, hey, there's those games where, like, maybe just our couple of guys don't have it going. Like, can Ayton just be a presence down there? And if he's not getting it going offensively, be that stopper in the paint, congest that paint, block those shots, meet people at the rim. I don't know. We've seen flashes of it, but we'll have to see it more consistently if Lakers, want to win a bunch of ball games here.
Yeah, I think it's eventually going to be a position that we'll have to target at the trade deadline.
Right.
Not necessarily getting a starter, but somebody that can just make an impact defensively. For example, like a Mitchell Robinson, anybody in that type of class, we just need somebody that can actually play some minutes there that's going to provide a little defensive presence. And I also still think they're going to need just another high-level defensive player. I just don't think Vanderbilt is going to be able to provide that because of how bad he is offensively. Like, no matter how much you want to have him out there, he's a huge liability on offense. And I was thinking about somebody in this league, that can maybe fill that role of just like a huge defender, but also can score. That you don't need to score a lot, but just can always make the corner 3, can make threes, and that's Herb Jones, man. Somebody like that would just be so ideal on this Lakers team. I know the Pelicans are going nowhere. Not saying that this is something that's possible, but I think a player like that would be huge moving forward for the Lakers, especially when they get LeBron back and things like that. So getting somebody like a Herb Jones and some sort of high-level 5 that can be athletic on defense there, I think would be important for them.
Yeah, it sounds like it may have to come around the deadline, and we don't know. Like you just pointed out, Herb Jones from the Pelicans, where you got some teams that are going to be packing it in around that time and kind of thinking about already the draft and next season. And so that's when you can hopefully, maybe some guys will come free. And also just depends on how the Lakers are doing, what they feel about their season, if there's a realistic shot, things of that nature. Are they going to want to give up assets in the future and things like that? So there's going to be a lot to it. But yeah, I got a feeling that defensive presence, he's probably not on the team right now. So
yeah, I think they're going to have to figure that one out. But it's always a buyout market and trades. But I think eventually, Ayton, he is what he is, right? Like, he's going to have good games and he's going to have pretty bad showings out there. What the Lakers have to do a good job as is keeping his head in the game, right? Like, obviously we can't be going on any losing streaks that just get him into a funk, or to the point where JJ starts to not play him as many minutes. That's going to get to him. So we're going to have to just see if he can actually be that guy that we can have some consistency throughout the year. And he's shown early on that he is doing well. Yes, yesterday was a terrible game, and that was a terrible game for everybody. Luka didn't have a good game. Austin didn't have a good game. Nobody did. So it's not just one guy. but that stood out to me the most because of how poor they were at the rim and in the paint.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know, in the regular season, right? Like, you know, every win counts the same. And so you obviously hope the Lakers could get some signature wins there to you know, I guess like a boast of confidence and maybe just some kind of you know, road victories. But I just think just for them, at least early on this season, they're just going to have to handle business when they have to, right? I'm going to just kind of just list some games they got coming up, right? So you got at New Orleans coming up. You got at Milwaukee will be tough. You got Utah twice. You got to win those games. You got the Clippers right now. I mean, in most cases, I would say, you know, it's going to be a dogfight. It probably will be, but you know what? You just got to beat them. You got Dallas, right? You got New Orleans again. You got Phoenix who's playing well. You got Toronto, right?
I see like that should be like where we only lose one game.
Yeah, that's
and
exactly.
I'm only saying that because of the back-to-back against Milwaukee. Like the New Orleans, the Milwaukee, I think will be pretty difficult, just the travel schedule and things like that. But overall, all those games, they should be favored and should realistically win them. But yeah, like you're saying, that's a good point.
Yep. And those are some on the road, some at home. And, you know, I get it. There's back-to-backs. There's this injury. You know, there's guys sitting out. But, I mean, the next 10 to 12 games, it's right there for the Lakers to really handle business. And so I just think they're in a position where it's going to be tough, right? There's games against the Rockets, and there's a couple more games they're going to play against OKC, Denver. And, I mean, that's just how it is, right? You got to see if you can sneak in a couple of those games. But then you just got to handle business against the others. And that's how you typically end up with a pretty good record if you could do that, right? And so that's kind of what I'm, you know, looking at. It's like, hopefully if Lakers play OKC in the playoffs, it's not till like, I don't know, Western Finals or something. And, you know, that's obviously big aspirations, but you get my point. Because the Thunder will be the 1 seed. So,
there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, but so, that's just something to look at, you know, going forward here. They definitely got some winnable games.
Yeah, and, you know, thinking about when LeBron's going to come back, and we kind of looked at that, targeted the 18th or the 23rd, those Utah games. There's good space in between there, too. So if he came back on the 18th, he would have time for the 23rd to kind of recover and see how his body responded. But also just the teams that they play in general, like you said, are on the lower end of the conferences and should be some stepping stones to kind of get this team to gel with LeBron on the court for the first time this season.
Yeah, I think it's a good time for him to come back. And obviously when you look at the beginning of the season, you look at the schedule, you just don't know what's going to be in front of you. Sometimes there's teams that you're nervous about a stretch, but then they got some injuries, so they're not as good, or vice versa. You know, they got Phoenix coming up a couple times, but you know, they're 8-5 Phoenix and they're playing pretty good ball. You know, who was one team that I kind of was saying to look out for.
You know, that was your little sleeper team.
That's my squad. You know, early season. You know,
it's kind of like the subtraction is the addition for Phoenix because of unfortunately KD and them just didn't really work, and Bradley Beal and all that stuff. So I think giving Devin Booker the reins again and allowing him to just play free maybe has helped them a lot. So
yeah, I think they'll. I mean, we'll see. It's a long season, but exactly. Like a little bit of addition by subtraction. Obviously, Houston's doing pretty well too with Durant. Bradley Beal, I think, was the big one. Yeah. But yeah. Anywho, we'll see. Long season ahead, and obviously OKC is big and bad.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of OKC, I mean, they're kicking everybody's ass. So they're 12-1, and they just look like a team that is on cruise control. Ever since last season, they're on cruise control. They won 68 games last year. Can they beat the Warriors' record and be better than 73-9 like the Warriors were?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously going to be a challenge, right? But they are technically on pace right now at 12-1. There's going to be those kind of dog days of the season, I would imagine. It happened with the Warriors. Obviously, the Bulls were 72-10. I think Lakers 69-13, and then I mean, if you think about it, the Thunder, they won 68 games last year.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
4 or 5 games is a big number, but I think it's like one of those things. Like in history, there's just several teams that even have a crack at it, and I think they're just one of those teams because the way they defend. The way they defend, they're going to just be in every game. I mean, we talked about the fourth quarters with SGA. I was reading that he's only played in 5 fourth quarters.
Jesus.
Out of the 12 games. So, right. That tells you they're up big. And so, I mean, like, will it happen? I don't know, but I don't think they're going to have a fall off. So they're going to have 67 to 72, 73 wins. You know what I mean? It all just depends on if they lose 2 in a row at one time or something. You never know.
Yeah. I mean,
obviously it's hard with looking at the schedule.
They have the number 1 defense and pretty much the number 1 offense again, right? Like last year they were the number 1 defense, number 3 offense, and they're gonna be a top 3 offense at least in this year. So when you have both of those spectrums where you're just like the best of the best on both sides of the ball, I think that gives you a shot. And they're 12-1 without Jalen Williams.
Yeah,
I mean, give me a break. You add probably arguably their second best player, who's step and step with SGA, but just getting somebody in that caliber, I think they could easily roll off. It's going to take a win streak of like 15, 20, those type of win streaks to kind of really create momentum to kind of break a record like that. I think the year that the Warriors did they start 25-0 or 24-0? Was it that year?
Yeah, it was exactly. Yeah.
That was without Steve Kerr too, right? So it was like Luke Walton Warriors. So I think that ability, you're going to have a win streak like that, but they have the defense and they have the offense to kind of do it, and they can actually have players out and be able to interchange them with young defensive-minded offensive players, which you don't get on every team in this league.
Oh yeah. That's the thing. They're so deep. They're gonna have guys in and out. It's just the NBA, but they obviously. I'm sorry. I'm also looking at what the Warriors did. So Warriors were 29-1 at one point. I mean,
yeah. So they were. That was the season they started. I think it was. Did they go 25-0? Yeah.
20.
So, right?
Yeah, 24-0.
24-0. Okay.
24-0.
And then they lost one.
They lost one. Yeah, sorry, I was just like sidetracked looking at their freaking 29-1, and so it's gonna take they're 35-3, right? Something like that, where you can really consider it.
Sure.
But yeah, they got so much depth. They got a lot of guys that just weren't that big of players last year, right? That we've kind of talked about that now are going to be, live and in living color for some teams, full display, and so, or for some folks. But if there's a team in the last several years that can do it, it's most likely them.
Yeah. So I don't think they're going to take off the gas on this season, and they look like they're as hungry as they were last year. So a repeat is definitely on their agenda. Now, you're going to go? Go ahead.
I was just going to say one thing, because just kind of listening to the radio earlier, somebody was saying like it kind of reminds them like the Lakers three-peat, which is funny. The thing about the Lakers, right, the three-peats is I would say like the year 2 and 3, they've had some like trials and tribulations in the regular season, right? And drama and like, but at the end of the day, like when they got to the playoffs, they were able to get it done. So it's a little different in that sense. I think just like OKC is just, there's not a ton of eyes on them, and it's believe it or not, right? There's still you watch these sports talk things. It's still about the Lakers, still about your Knicks, your Warriors, things like that. Obviously Houston, and so that's part of it is just that like kind of flying under the radar somehow, right? But anywho, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. Now that brings me to my next question: is there anybody who is the biggest threat to OKC at this point? It could be in the West or the East, but who would you say right now?
The Indiana Pacers. Sorry, I had to say that. It's just crazy. I mean, they were
Poor
the biggest threat,
Indiana.
right? 7
1
games.
and 11.
1 and
Jesus.
11. Yeah. I mean, not going to be a big surprise. I think there's really. I mean, we'll see about the Warriors and obviously Houston, but as of now, I mean, I hope everybody's paying attention to what's going on in Denver.
Oh yeah.
I think Denver, even though Indiana went Game 7, I think Denver probably gave them their biggest threat and challenge last year. And I mean, it's solely because of, well, not solely, but you could throw in Aaron Gordon there as well. But obviously, Jokic, right, the Joker. I mean, he's having probably the best year of his career, which is just crazy to think.
Every year
is just he raises that bar. So that's why like somebody like Luka, I mean, he's just has godly like numbers, but it's going to be hard to win the MVP because you have obviously the Thunder that are going to have a great season, and then I think Denver, they're not going to keep up pace. I don't think it's just not it. I could see Denver having some lapses, but just from a pure if they were to meet in a series kind of thing, I feel like that team would be the best suited, and it's mainly because of the star power with Murray, Joker, and Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, and if you remember last year, and Jalen Williams talked about this, is the team that gave him the toughest test was Denver, and they really thought like they were like it was a dog fight to get through that series, and we remember if it wasn't for Aaron Gordon straining his hamstring in Game 6 with like a minute to go, it could have been a different outcome in Game 7. Like having a full healthy Aaron Gordon in Game 7, I think changes things. And I think Denver could have definitely gotten past them. But yeah, I mean, now they have the experience of winning, right? So that's one thing. But I do think that Denver and the Joker are just, I mean, he's averaging a triple-double again. I mean, he averaged a triple-double last year as a center. He's definitely
leads the league in rebounds and assists right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's ridiculous. So, I mean, he's by far top player in the league, just based on what he does for a team and what he means for his team. And I think that'll be the biggest threat. Now, Houston, I think we won't know until kind of towards the end of the season and see how much they gel. But theoretically, they have the talent and they have the coaching and players to kind of get by. And then if I were going to go with a third team, I still feel like that's the Lakers. Just because once they get LeBron back and they have Luka still being Luka, I think that gives them a chance all the time. They're just going to have to find ways to make adjustments against this OKC defense.
You like anybody in the East to have a? I mean,
absolutely not.
Yeah, I feel like.
Sorry,
I don't even think we even covered. And
I mean, like I'm not trying to disrespect the East, right? But obviously, I'm a huge fan of Detroit basketball, right? I think they're going to be a sneaky team.
Are they going to beat the OKC Thunder? I mean, that's.
I mean, if let me tell you this: if Detroit makes the finals, we will be talking about how easy OKC's runs to the championship have been because they've played Indiana and Detroit in the finals. So that's what we'll be talking about, right? We won't be talking about the West. Nobody cares who you got by in the Western Conference. They care about who you beat in the finals. The Knicks, I just don't think when it's said and done, like you can trust Karl-Anthony Towns. I really don't. I love Jalen Brunson, but I don't think you can trust Towns in a 7-game series.
Right.
And I don't think Cleveland is just that team, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously sitting here in November, I don't see there's any shot. But you know what? That's why they play the games. And whoever would have thought Indiana would have pushed them to 7 games where it's like, hey, maybe if Halliburton doesn't, tears Achilles the first, beginning of the game, who knows? Maybe it's a different story. And obviously we'll never know. But I mean, just going back to Denver a little bit, I still do think they're not like the deepest teams ever.
Sure.
I mean, they're definitely not winning because of Cam Johnson. I'll tell you that much. Averaging 7 points a game. I think you kind of talked about him a little bit.
Oh my goodness.
Right? He's not the offensive threat that Porter is, and maybe he's doing other things that it's not in the box score. That it's productive, but yeah, at the end of the day, it's Jokic, right? It's Jamal Murray. Hopefully, playoff Murray, right? Is a real thing, and so I would just say like if there is still that little bit of that depth, that I think maybe hurt him in 7 games last year, right? He had to kind of withstand a lot, and they just were gassed by that game 7.
Sure.
And then the injury to Aaron Gordon, a lot of things, but yeah, I think we can say that it's going to be tough for someone to beat them.
Yeah. I just right now, if you had to put any money on the line, they are the heavy favorites to kind of get through the championship there. So it'll be interesting to see as the season goes on. And I also think there will be some things that could throw a wrench in it. Like if Anthony Davis gets traded, right? Say he goes to Detroit.
Right.
I'm not saying that's going to happen, and it's going to probably take a lot to get him. But say something like that happens, does that make a huge difference for Detroit, or like the Knicks make a move, right, for somebody that would be significant there? So we'll see. I mean, that's what the NBA loves. That's the drama that they love, especially when it gets down to the trade deadline.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there I think Detroit is a good one where there is like a team that AD would just make that significant, or a realistic team.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting, like obviously probably somewhere in the East, I think would be.
I was hearing a little bit about Chicago.
Right? He's from Chicago.
That's kind of nice, right? He's from Chicago. It might be nice. They seem like they got something going on. I don't think they have necessarily the talent to kind of get there, but if they got somebody like AD, I think that would make a huge difference.
Yep. Philadelphia. Yeah. Another injured.
What you gonna have him and Embiid on back-to-back not playing? Come on,
they probably would have to trade Embiid, but I mean, it's like Dallas gonna really, it would just be it would be a tricky situation. But we'll see.
Yeah, definitely
possible.
All right, talk about injuries. There is a lot going around in the league right now. Unfortunately, some pretty big names. We'll start with Bradley Beal, who unfortunately has a fractured hip and is undergoing surgery for that, which puts him out for the season. They haven't really revealed what type of fracture or how the original fracture happened, but I did hear that he was been kind of dealing with this hip issue since his Phoenix days, and is maybe some part of the reason why they're willing to kind of get rid of him and definitely buy him out there. So unfortunately, he is out for the season, and the Clippers are not doing well so far. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously him being picked up in the buyout market, it's a low risk kind of move, and so Clippers have so many of kind of similar older guys, and so for them, I don't think. I think it could actually help maybe to kind of clarify some rotations and things like that. But in terms of Bradley Beal, it's definitely tough. And I was looking at his age. He's 32. I just can't remember the last real competitive season that he's had
it's been tough.
in quite some time, and so a lot of it is injuries. Because obviously he was a heck of a player for a run there in Washington. But obviously it's a tough blow. And I think definitely we've seen the Bradley Beal we know is in the review mirror, but it's getting to the point where he might be a wrap soon here. Yeah,
he's 32, has pretty significant injury history now, and for this surgery to already be putting him out for the whole year when we're in November, no chance of coming back in March, April, means it's a pretty significant one. And I just don't know another year older, what you're really going to get from him. He could be a piece where, off the bench, a great veteran off the bench. I think that's going to be his type of role. I think his starter days are pretty much behind him there.
Yeah, he was never a fantastic outside shooter too. So it's, I don't know. So there's some things that
tough.
Because if he could hang his hat on that, he can kind of that's a big asset for a team. And he's just, I mean, sometimes we just see these people as superhuman, but if they're just going under the knife just time after time, I mean, right, you could only take so much. Like you have a lot of years, right? And, you know, he doesn't need to play, right? And things like that. Of course, there's that competitive spirit and they want to play and they don't want to go out like that. But yeah, it's like how much can he really give to a ball club and to himself, really? And so we'll see. I'm sure he'll probably try to make a crack at it, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's short lived.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of just kind of like John Wall, right? Like he was such a high level player, and because they both were on the same team too.
Yeah.
So just such high level players that look so promising because they were, gosh, dude, when they were that good in Washington, they were so young. Thinking about it, because if Bradley Beal's only 32 now, what was he, 22, 23, 24? When they were playing against LeBron and kind of challenging Cleveland in the Eastern Conference there.
Yeah.
So just unfortunate to kind of see with some of these young players that have so much talent, but injuries kind of hamper them.
Yeah, it did really remind me of that. And I could see something similar where a team in a year or two or whatever does pick them up and it's like, okay, just try them out. And then it'll kind of fizzle like it did with the Clippers as well with John Wall.
Yeah,
but we'll see. Hopefully,
unfortunately, hopefully he gets better and kind of regains his health and gets back to his normal self. The next player I kind of want to get into was just happened recently was Jalen Brunson, who last night sprained his ankle. It was the same ankle he sprained last year, which was a pretty significant sprain last year, where he was kind of out about a month or a little bit over a month, kind of going into the playoffs. This one, it's been determined that it was a grade 1, pretty mild sprain. So he's kind of day to day. He'll miss Friday, but from this point on, he's kind of day to day. I would imagine they give him about a week off because usually it takes about that much time to kind of heal. And since this is his kind of second big sprain recently, I think they'll give him a little bit more time just to kind of get his body right there.
Yeah, it looked real similar to the game against the Lakers towards the end of the season last year, kind of drive into the hole. Like Sam, it just looked very similar. And so obviously, the Laker one, you just like, oh, that looks bad.
Yeah. With the Laker one, he was coming up, right, and then coming down, and which land put a lot more weight on it.
Yep.
This one he just kind of sprained when he was driving to the basket. So at least the force from jumping versus just kind of turning your ankle can be a little less, right? So I think that's why hopefully it was less severe.
Yeah, and I would imagine with it happening a couple times now, it's probably going to be maybe there's something that there's a little worry, right? You don't want something like that to happen to him again, because we've seen it could really hamper players if you're just having a lot of issues with ankle injuries.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So hopefully he'll be back soon. So it shouldn't be too bad and not missing too many games there. Yep. Now, Kawhi Leonard has missed, I think, the last 6 games, 5-6 games with ankle sprain and a foot sprain. And what they're saying is the foot sprain is more the concern, is more significant. So when you get into the foot, and typically for basketball players, it's usually the mid portion of it, the midfoot, which could be problematic. So I don't see him coming back anytime soon. I think he's going to, number one, it's Kawhi, right? So we know with Kawhi, he usually takes his time when it comes to injuries. Yeah. And there's usually a lot more mystery or just cautiousness when it comes to return. The Clippers are not playing too well right now too, so they definitely need Kawhi. So let's see how he feels after the next couple games, but I'm more concerned about the foot sprain than the ankle sprain as well.
Yeah, they're going on a 7-game road trip next. So the Clippers are at 3-8. So yeah, I think anytime you hear Kawhi, you hear injury. You're a little bit you take kind of what you hear as a grain of salt, right? Because it could be just not exactly right. You hear, if you out for a few days, ends up being a few months, and so he's going to take every precaution possible, which I do get it. Still early in the season, but all of a sudden, without Beal now and then Kawhi, it's the Clippers really need him back quickly.
Definitely.
And healthy.
Especially with having the oldest roster in the history. They don't really have much help. And I don't know if you've seen what Chris Paul has been doing on the Clippers, Eric. But he is currently averaging 2.3 points to go along with 3.6 assists. So I don't know if, like, it's weird because he had a really good year in San Antonio. I don't know if he's done or just does he not fit on this Clippers team, or he's gotten a DNP the last 3 games. So is that a cause for concern for you as far as like what they thought they might be getting in Chris Paul, or is he just not happy?
I think, I mean, look, obviously the year and age of Chris Paul is like, you could hit a wall, right? It's possible. Yeah. I don't. Yeah, he's 40. Like he's just like, regardless of his age, like the way he is, the style of play, like I don't think he's just this guy that you're gonna play like 10 to 12 minutes and you're just gonna like get that max out of him. Like he was like best suited on like a San Antonio last year, where he can't be your best player or anything like that, or not even 2 or 3, but he has to like get minutes and things like that to be effective. But I could see why Clippers, it's like, I don't know, like we have like some aspirations here, and playing him big minutes, it just doesn't fit the kind of agenda of the Clippers. And so I was a little, I mean, I thought it was a little odd to sign him. I know it was probably just his last season, right? Has he said it's going to be his last year officially? I forget, but I don't think so, right?
I don't think so. Yeah. I think it was kind of just one of those to see how he feels this year.
Yeah. And so, it's been pretty rough. On the flip side, man, I know there's like a lot of just hate for him, but you know who just like plays every game, every year, all the time, doesn't matter. James Harden. It's crazy. Like he's just like,
it's actually
you can say he's out of shape. You can say all these things, but man, he's just like out there. Him and Westbrook are just like guys that just like play every freaking game. You know?
He's really consistent as a player, and he doesn't really miss games. Like he's not injured much. Like I haven't looked at it in a long time, but I remember looking at it at some point where like how many games he normally misses, and like he's never had a significant like real heavy duty injury. Usually plays 65 plus games a year. I don't know if he's had a year, well, except for those like the Philly years where there's all that stuff going on.
When you didn't play. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he just wasn't playing and kind of with like Brooklyn and stuff. But besides that, he's going to give you like 70 games a year, like usually without any significant injuries. You're right.
Yeah, definitely at a high clip. So, but yeah, tough one. Hopefully, see if Kawhi comes back.
Yeah. And then lastly, I wanted to get to AD. Anthony Davis, and we all know that he kind of left a couple weeks ago with a calf strain. They said it was more of a mild calf strain, but he also was dealing with some, I think, bilateral Achilles tendinopathy. So they've kind of like been cautious about bringing him back. Now, however, since Nico has been fired, there has been some shed some light on the situation there, and supposedly AD was pushing himself to come back and play. Nico urged the medical staff to have him come back and play. The medical staff said if he were to come back at this point, he is a high risk for an Achilles tear. Now, we have always talked about this, right? With the calf strain. When you have a calf strain, it creates weakness in that muscle, which can trickle down to the Achilles because there will be more force applied to the Achilles than there is in the calf without a strong calf. So technically, the medical staff is likely right from what they're saying. Obviously, Tyrese Halliburton last year, when they cleared him, they know that there was a huge risk, even though they medically cleared him. So I get early on wanting to like hold AD out. However, after Nico was fired, then you hear the owner say, he is not going to play until he's officially cleared from a risk. And it basically said analytically, like by data. And I'll tell you one thing. You cannot determine by data to say he's not a full risk at all for Achilles tear, right? You can only provide evidence that his calf is strong. You've maybe done some imaging to see if the Achilles has any degeneration, right? And that's something that he might have from some of the tendonitis and tendinopathy that he has. So I think there's always going to be that kind of risk. But what do you think of the owner now stepping in and saying you can't play until I basically say you can? What do you think about that?
Pretty crazy. I mean, I think it just shows you can't just have like one person make a injury decision if they're going to play or not, because like everybody has their own agenda. Nico was like knew he was like probably on his way out, but at the same time he's wanting to show like the trade he made and like his vision. Just we haven't been able to see it because of the injuries. And you got AD obviously that just wants to play because everybody's going to be on him about his injuries. And you got ownership to answer your question that probably sees AD as like a kind of a resource right now, a trade piece, if you will. Right. And so we know if he comes back and tears his Achilles, he ain't going anywhere. Right.
I think that's a good point that you're making about like him as basically as a asset, because if you see in the next couple of weeks AD doesn't play, you better bet he's going to be traded. Because at that point, if they keep holding him out for like 3-4 weeks and he's getting frustrated that he's not playing, he's going to want out, and they're going to look for a team and kind of help him to get out, because at some point you can't hold him hostage from playing. Because AD, granted, yes, he's had a lot of injuries. He wants to always play when he can, and he's played through some injuries, and we've seen him as a Laker. He's played through some heavy stuff, and I think that he's not going to want to sit on the bench because the owner tells him that he can't play. So I think if this prolongs for a couple weeks, you see Dallas is 4-15 or something like that. That'll pretty much wrap up AD's playing time with the Dallas Mavs, and he'll probably be likely going to somewhere else.
Yeah. I AD, to give him credit, I mean he does get injured, but like I mean we watched him for years. He typically battles through it. He comes back unless it's something where he just cannot play. And so I think the next few weeks are going to be telling. It's just a weird season for them because you're trying to develop Cooper Flag. You obviously have Kyrie Irving's return kind of in the background there. Is it just better to have him sit a full year and just get fully healthy? I mean, I assume if this season continues the way it is, that's probably what's going to happen. Sure. And then you just got that mystery with AD. It's just it's wild. I mean, I know that his like what you could get for him is probably like diminishing, as the days go by. But you probably could still get, at least a little something, especially at the deadline when somebody feels that maybe they're an AD away, like we just talked about, from making a difference out there. And so, it's tough, man. It's tough. What's kind of happening with Anthony Davis right now.
Yeah. So we'll see. I think time will tell. If you kind of see him out for a couple more weeks, I think that'll be a telltale sign of what Dallas is planning on doing and probably what AD wants to happen.
Yep. No doubt. Definitely. We'll see what happens.
So, Eric, you got any other kind of comments for the rest of the show here before we get out?
No, I think that's it. See what happens in this weekend's games.
All right. So Lakers have Friday game against the Pelicans and then a back-to-back against Milwaukee on Saturday. So let's see if they can kind of rebound from the loss to OKC. Pelicans are pretty bad. So I'd imagine that's a good rebound game. And then the back-to-back will be a little challenging because it depends on who is playing on the back-to-back there.
Yep. We'll have to see.
All right. So as always, everybody, great show, and we will see you guys soon. But the Hoops Rehab team is out. Peace out, guys.
Peace out.